The message arrived on a Tuesday. It was short, formal, and sent to every major communications hub on Earth simultaneously. The Galactic Council demanded an immediate audience with humanity's leaders. Admiral Peter Collins stood at the viewport of Luna Command, watching Earth rotate slowly below. His weathered face reflected in the glass as he read the message for the 12th time. At 62, he had seen humanity push beyond Mars, establish colonies on Europa, and begin mining operations in the asteroid belt. Never before had the Council shown such direct interest in human affairs. "Sir, the Council representatives have docked," said Lieutenant Amy Wilson, standing at attention behind him. "They're requesting immediate transport to the conference room." Collins nodded without turning. "Tell them I'll be there in 10 minutes. "Yes, sir." She hesitated. "Sir, intelligence reports their vessel is armed beyond standard diplomatic protocols." "Noted, Lieutenant. Have security teams on standby, but keep them out of sight. We don't want to appear hostile." The conference room on Luna Command was designed to impress. Floor-to-ceiling windows displayed Earth in all its blue-green glory, a subtle reminder of humanity's homeworld and what they stood ready to defend. When Collins entered, 2 council representatives were already seated. Xantor, a tall, slender being with silver-blue skin and 4 arms folded precisely in front of him, represented the Arcturus Collective. Beside him sat Vila Mira, her scaled face unreadable as her amber eyes tracked Collins across the room. As the council's head enforcer, her presence alone signaled the severity of the situation. "Admiral Collins," Xantor said, his translator converting the series of clicks and whistles into English, "we appreciate your prompt response." Collins took his seat, flanked by General Diane Foster and Dr. John Rivera, Earth's leading xenopolitical advisor. "The Council does not typically send such high-ranking officials for routine matters," Collins observed. "I assume this is urgent." Vila Mira leaned forward. "Humanity has expanded beyond acceptable parameters for a species of your classification. Your colonies now reach into territories that intersect with Council interests. Classifications we never agreed to," General Foster interjected. "Under a Council we were never invited to join." Xantor's upper arms raised slightly, a gesture Collins recognized as dismissal. "Your agreement was not required. All developing species are classified and monitored. Humanity was designated as Category 3, limited expansion capabilities with potential for eventual membership in approximately 200 years. Yet here we are," Collins said, "clearly exceeding your expectations." "That is precisely the problem," Vila Mira stated flatly. "Humanity has progressed too rapidly. Your adaptation rate exceeds all predictive models." Dr. Rivera adjusted his glasses. "And this concerns the Council because unchecked expansion leads to resource conflicts," Xantor explained as if speaking to children. "The Council maintains order by controlling growth rates of developing species." Vila Mira activated a holographic display showing human expansion through the solar system and beyond. "Your military capabilities have also advanced beyond acceptable limits. The Council has voted. Humanity must cease expansion immediately and withdraw from all territories beyond Mars." Collins kept his expression neutral despite the anger building inside him. "And if we refuse?" Vila Mira's scales darkened slightly, their equivalent of a smile. "The Council has methods to ensure compliance, methods that have worked effectively for 20,000 years against species far more advanced than yourselves. You have 30 Earth days to begin withdrawal," Xantor added. "Council observers will remain in your system to monitor compliance." After the representatives departed, Collins stood alone at the viewport once more. "Send encrypted priority message to all commands," he told the room's computer. "Authorization Collins, Alpha 7 Delta. Message begins. The storm we prepared for has arrived. Initiate Protocol Winter Shield. Acknowledge and prepare for briefing at 600. He watched as the Council ship departed Luna orbit, its engines flaring blue against the blackness of space. "They have no idea what they've just started," he whispered to himself. 24 hours after the Council's ultimatum, Admiral Collins stood in a windowless room 300 feet beneath Washington. Around a large oval table sat 12 people who collectively held the fate of humanity in their hands. "Ladies and gentlemen," Collins began, "the Council has shown their hand. They want us contained, restricted, and obedient." He gestured to the holographic display showing the Council ship now orbiting Earth. "They believe we'll bow to their demands." President Alan Russell, his face drawn from lack of sleep, addressed the room. "I've spoken with world leaders. We are united in our response, but we need options beyond simple defiance." Dr. Olivia Grant stood up. Her reputation as the leading expert on alien technology had earned her a seat at this table despite her youth. She tapped her tablet, and new images appeared above the table. "The Council relies on unified field technology that we've been studying for years," she explained, pointing to the glowing schematics. "Their ships are formidable, but not invincible. We've identified 3 potential weaknesses in their defense systems." "Can we exploit these weaknesses with current technology?" asked General Foster. "Yes and no," Dr. Grant replied. "We can't match their firepower directly, but we've developed countermeasures they don't expect us to have." Captain William Hayes cleared his throat. A decorated veteran of the Mars campaigns, he now headed Earth's most classified military division. "Project Frost isn't just theoretical anymore," he announced, entering a complex code into the table's security system. New schematics appeared, showing massive structures hidden throughout the solar system. "We've been building defensive platforms disguised as mining operations for the past 5 years." Murmurs spread around the table as the implications became clear. "These platforms contain quantum-linked shield generators," Hayes continued. "Once activated, they can create a defensive network that will neutralize the Council's main weapon systems." Senator Catherine Moore, chair of the Diplomatic Committee, frowned. "So we have teeth, but the Council's fleet numbers in the thousands. We need time before any confrontation." "Agreed," said Collins, "which is why we need to appear compliant while activating our defenses." Dr. Grant tapped her screen again. "We also have allies they don't know about. 3 Council species have secretly contacted us over the past decade. Dissatisfied with Council rule, they're providing intelligence on fleet movements." Chief Intelligence Officer Frank West looked up from his notes. "Our deep space listening posts have intercepted Council communications. They're more afraid of us than they let on. It's not just our expansion, it's our adaptability. They've never encountered a species that progresses this quickly." "What about our colonies beyond Mars?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "We can't simply abandon them." "We won't," Collins assured him. "We've already begun implementing evacuation protocols, but not to retreat. We're relocating colonists to hidden facilities while leaving automated systems running to maintain appearances." President Russell stood, commanding the room's attention. "I want to be clear about what we're deciding here. If we defy the Council, we risk everything. But if we submit, we surrender humanity's future to alien oversight forever." The room fell silent. The weight of the decision pressed down on everyone present. "We didn't come this far to be caged," General Foster said firmly. "Humanity doesn't do well with restrictions." Dr. Grant nodded. "The Council believes they're dealing with a Category 3 civilization. They have no idea we've been preparing for this encounter for decades." "Then we're agreed," said President Russell. "We'll appear to negotiate in good faith while activating our defenses." Captain Hayes, how quickly can Project Frost be fully operational? 3 weeks at emergency protocols, Hayes replied. Sooner if we redirect additional resources. Collins looked around the table at the determined faces. Then it settled. Let the Council think they've won. For now. Operation Winter Shield begins immediately. UN Representative Daniel Wright adjusted his tie as he entered the massive meeting hall aboard the Council diplomatic vessel. The circular chamber featured elevated seats for the 7 Council representatives, deliberately positioned to look down upon the speakers. Wright recognized the psychological tactic but showed no reaction. The United Nations thanks the Galactic Council for this opportunity to discuss our concerns. Wright began, his voice calm and measured. Earth understands the importance of galactic stability. Xantor's 4 arms moved in a complex pattern of dismissal. Understanding appears to have come late to your species. Your expansion violated established protocols. Wright smiled pleasantly. Protocols we were never informed of, under a legal framework we never agreed to. However, we are willing to discuss reasonable accommodations. As Wright spoke, Lieutenant Grace Martinez sat in a small monitoring station 2 decks below. Her fingers moved rapidly across specialized equipment, disguised as standard translation devices. In reality, she was scanning and recording every aspect of the Council ship, from its power signatures to the microscopic changes in atmospheric composition when different species spoke. The Council requires complete withdrawal from Jupiter's moons and all operations beyond, announced Villamera. Your mining operations in the asteroid belt must be reduced by 70%. Wright nodded thoughtfully. These are significant adjustments that will impact millions of lives. Perhaps a phased approach would be more practical. We could begin with a 30% reduction while establishing a joint commission to evaluate resource needs. The deliberate counteroffers were part of the plan. Every minute Wright kept the Council engaged gave Martins more time to gather critical intelligence. Your suggestion has merit, admitted Council Elder Zolak, surprising the other members. A measured transition would demonstrate humanity's good faith. Meanwhile, Commander Alexander Bishop supervised a very different operation on Europa. Beneath the ice surface, thousands of colonists were being quietly relocated to subterranean facilities. To orbital observers, the colony appeared to be winding down operations. In reality, they were moving deeper into massive caverns prepared years ago for exactly this scenario. "Sir, the last transport is away," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker. "Surface readings will show decreased heat signatures and power consumption consistent with evacuation." Bishop nodded. "Begin Phase 2. I want all defensive systems powered down but ready for 30-second reactivation." Back on the Council ship, Wright was carefully probing for information. The Council's interest in restricting human activity seems focused on specific regions. May I ask what special significance these areas hold? The question created subtle tension among the Council members, exactly as Wright had hoped. The regions are designated for future development by more established species, Xantor replied after a pause. "Species with proven stability records." "I see," Wright said. "And these designations, were they made before or after human presence was detected in these areas?" The question hung in the air. Martinez, listening through her equipment, noted the spike in pheromone release among the Council members, a sign of discomfort her sensors were specifically designed to detect. Throughout human space, similar scenes played out. Colonies appeared to slowly shut down while actually fortifying. Ships ostentatiously departed from restricted zones, while stealth vessels took their places. Every movement was calculated to create the impression of compliance. In Earth orbit, Dr. Ryan Foster monitored the activation of Project Frost's first phase. Disguised as routine satellite maintenance, his team brought defensive nodes online one by one. "Node Cluster Alpha is green," he reported to Admiral Collins. "Shield harmonic tests complete. The Council's sensors are registering exactly what we want them to see." Martinez's voice came through on a secure channel as Wright continued his diplomatic performance. "Sir, I'm detecting something interesting. Their biometric readings spike whenever we mention adaptation rates or technological innovation. They're afraid of something specific about humanity, not just our expansion." Collins permitted himself a small smile. "Good. Keep them talking. Keep them watching our public compliance. And most importantly, keep them completely unaware of what's happening right under their noses." 2 weeks into the Council's 30-day ultimatum, the first signs of trouble appeared. Council Inspector Drelvox, a thin, gray-skinned being with multiple eye stalks, reviewed the latest compliance reports from Earth's government with growing suspicion. "These numbers don't align," he muttered to his assistant. "The power consumption on Europa has decreased by 80%, yet atmospheric composition shows only a 30% reduction in human activity." The assistant, a junior council officer, checked the data. "Perhaps their evacuation procedures are unusual. Humans are known to be inefficient." Drelvox narrowed his central eye. "No, they're hiding something." Far from Drelvox's suspicious gaze, Earth's outer colonies had indeed gone dark, but not in the way the Council believed. On Europa, Colony Administrator Paul Jackson supervised the final stages of what appeared to be an evacuation. In reality, the colony was moving deeper beneath the ice. "Status report," Jackson requested, standing in the massive underground chamber that had been prepared years earlier. "Surface installations show minimal activity, exactly as planned," his deputy answered. "Council satellites will detect abandoned structures and reduced heat signatures. Meanwhile, our actual operations continue at 110% capacity." Jackson nodded with satisfaction. "And the defense grid?" "Fully operational but powered down. We can activate from cold start in under 2 minutes." Similar scenes play out across human space. To Council observers, humanity appeared to be reluctantly complying with withdrawal orders. The reality was far different. In a classified facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Ryan Foster worked around the clock to complete the quantum shield array that would form the backbone of Project Frost. The breakthrough had come 3 years earlier, but implementing the technology at scale had proven challenging. "Final calibration complete," he announced to his team. "Shield harmonics are stable across all test platforms." Admiral Collins, watching via secure video link, allowed himself a rare smile. "Ahead of schedule, Doctor. Excellent work." Foster nodded tiredly. The Council's ultimatum provided unexpected motivation. "My team hasn't slept in days." As Foster's team finalized the shield technology, Council battleships took position near Jupiter. Their presence was intended as a show of force, a reminder of the consequences should humanity fail to comply. Instead, they provided perfect surveillance targets for Earth's stealth reconnaissance vessels. On one such vessel, Captain Sophia Barnes monitored energy emissions from the nearest Council ship. Originally trained as a civilian engineer, she had made the breakthrough that allowed human weapons to penetrate Council shields. "Their modulation patterns are consistent with previous observations," she reported. "The weakness in their aft shield quadrant remains unexploited. They still have no idea we can see it." Meanwhile, in Washington, the President met with Admiral Collins for a daily briefing. The situation map showed Council positions throughout the solar system, with human assets carefully tracked and cataloged. "Their patience is wearing thin," Collins noted. "Surveillance shows increased communication between their ships and their homeworld. They're planning something." "Are we ready if they move early?" the President asked. "Not completely," Collins admitted. "Dr. Foster needs another week to fully deploy the shield network. But we got enough in place to survive an initial strike." The President studied the map silently. "And our countermeasures?" "Vice Admiral Chen has positioned her fleet in Saturn's rings. Captain Miller's Mars Defense Force is at full readiness. Our stealth reconnaissance ships have mapped every Council vessel in our system." Outside the solar system, humanity had made other preparations. Admiral Collins had quietly deployed a stealth reconnaissance fleet to Council homeworlds years earlier, long before the ultimatum. These ships now provided critical intelligence on Council movements and capabilities. "Sir," Lieutenant Wilson reported as Collins returned to Luna Command, "we've intercepted a Council transmission. They're sending additional warships, at least 20 capital vessels. Estimated arrival in 5 days." Collins nodded calmly. "Right on schedule. They're growing impatient with our apparent slow compliance. Should we accelerate our preparations?" "No," Collins replied. "Let them think their pressure is working. The longer they believe we're simply dragging our feet, the more complete our preparations will be when they finally lose patience. As Council ships grew more numerous in Earth's solar system, humanity's true response remained hidden, a frost that was spreading silently through the darkness of space, ready to crystallize at the perfect moment. The Council's patience had run out. 28 days after their initial warning, humanity's apparent compliance had proven insufficient. Across Earth's major cities, the skies darkened as massive Council ships took position in low orbit, a show of force impossible to ignore. "This is the final communication," Xantor's message echoed in command centers worldwide. "Human withdrawal has been inadequate and insincere. You have 48 hours to complete all required actions or face containment protocols." In the underground war room, President Russell watched the transmission end, his face grim but determined. "They've taken the bait," he said quietly. "Admiral, are we ready?" Admiral Collins stood before the holographic display, showing Council ship positions. "Project Frost is at 97% deployment. All strategic assets are in position. We're as ready as we'll ever be." The President nodded. "Then send our response. The official one, for their consumption." On screens across human space, the message went out. Earth, speaking through official channels, announced its surrender to Council demands. The carefully worded statement promised complete withdrawal from all contested regions within the timeline provided. Hidden within the public transmission was a coded message that activated dormant systems throughout human territory. To the casual observer, human outposts appeared to be shutting down. In reality, they were powering up their most formidable defenses. Vice Admiral Elizabeth Chen watched from her command chair as her fleet settled deeper into Saturn's rings. 50 warships, their hulls coated with radiation-absorbing materials, became virtually invisible among the ice particles. "Power signatures minimal," reported her tactical officer. "Council patrols are passing within 10,000 kilometers without detection." Chen nodded. "Maintain position. All crews at combat readiness." On Mars, the underground manufacturing facilities doubled production of kinetic interceptors, simple but devastatingly effective weapons against the Council's energy-shielded vessels. Dr. Nathan Bradley supervised the final calibrations of the Frost Protocol targeting system. "The quantum entanglement network is stable," he informed Collins via secure channel. "All nodes are synchronized and awaiting activation codes." Collins acknowledged the report and turned to General Foster. "Their main fleet is moving into final position." "How many ships?" 117 vessels around Earth, she answered. Another 83 spread throughout the system, significantly fewer than their available forces. "They still don't see us as a serious threat," Collins observed. "Their arrogance will cost them dearly." In the diplomatic chamber aboard the Council flagship, UN Representative Wright made one last appearance. His manner was appropriately subdued as he formally presented Earth's compliance documents. "Humanity acknowledges the Council's authority in this matter," he stated, the words bitter in his mouth but necessary for the deception. "We request only that civilian evacuation be permitted to continue without interference." Vila Mira's amber eyes narrowed slightly. "Your cooperation, though belated, is noted. Council observers will verify compliance before any restrictions are lifted." Wright bowed slightly. "We understand." As the final hours ticked down, President Russell addressed Earth's population in a carefully worded speech that emphasized cooperation while subtly preparing them for what was to come. "In the face of overwhelming force, humanity has always shown its greatest strength," he said. "Sometimes that strength is patience. Sometimes it is adaptation, and sometimes it is knowing exactly when to act." In orbit around Jupiter, Council warships prepared their weapons systems. Their long-range sensors detected the apparent shutdown of human outposts on Ganymede and Callisto. What they failed to detect were the thousands of defense platforms hidden beneath the icy surfaces, their systems powered down but primed for instant activation. "All sections report ready," Chief Intelligence Officer West informed the Crisis Committee. "Project Frost is fully operational. Defense grid integrity at 100%. Collins looked at the countdown display. 4:27:13 remaining until the Council's deadline expired. Send the final code, he ordered. 2 words, to every commander in every outpost. Winter's coming. The Council did not wait for their own deadline. 6 hours early, their ships moved into attack formation around Earth's orbital platforms. Admiral Collins watched from Luna Command as the massive vessels took position. They're powering weapons systems, Lieutenant Wilson reported, her voice steady despite the tension. Energy signatures consistent with their primary disruptor technology. Collins nodded. Right on schedule. Status of Project Frost. All systems ready. Awaiting your command. The first shots came without warning. Brilliant blue energy beams lanced from the Council flagship toward the Jakarta space elevator. The structure's outer hull glowed briefly before seemingly dissolving, exactly as the Council expected. What they didn't expect was the structure to remain standing. On the Council command ship, Vila Mira leaned forward in confusion. Repeat the attack. Full power. Again, energy weapons struck the Earth installation. Again, the outer layer appeared to disintegrate while the structure itself remained intact. Impossible, Tantor whispered. Their technology is not advanced enough for this level of defense. In Washington's command center, President Russell watched the attack unfold on holographic displays. They've made their move, Admiral. The diplomatic game is over. Collins nodded and spoke into his secure communicator. All commands. Execute Winter Shield. I repeat, execute Winter Shield. Across the solar system, humanity revealed its true capabilities. The supposedly abandoned mining platforms throughout the asteroid belt suddenly powered up, revealing themselves as military installations. On Mars, massive hangar doors opened on the surface, releasing swarms of fighter craft. From Saturn's rings, Vice Admiral Chin's hidden fleet emerged, engines flaring as they accelerated toward their predetermined targets. Captain Laura Miller commanded the Mars Defense Base, the largest of humanity's hidden military installations. All batteries, open fire. Target their propulsion systems first. From the red planet's surface, hundreds of kinetic projectiles launched toward the Council ships orbiting Mars. Simple in design but devastating in effect, the tungsten rods accelerated to tremendous speeds, carrying enough energy to penetrate even the advanced shields of Council vessels. The Council flagship rocked as 3 of its escort vessels suddenly exploded. Alarms blared as sensors detected new threats appearing throughout the system. We are under attack, Tantor shouted. How is this possible? Their weapons were deactivated. Vila Mira's scales darkened with rage. They deceived us. Launch all fighters and prepare the main fleet for combat. But the Council's carefully orchestrated attack was rapidly falling apart. Throughout Earth orbit, Project Frost revealed itself at last. Thousands of small satellites, previously disguised as debris or defunct equipment, activated powerful shield generators. The quantum-linked network created an impenetrable barrier that surrounded Earth's orbital installations. From Luna Command, Collins watched with grim satisfaction as Council ships found themselves caught in carefully planned crossfires. Transmit the message to all Council homeworlds. Now, throughout Council space, on planets thousands of light years from Earth, political leaders received simultaneous transmissions. The message was simple and delivered by President Russell himself. To the Galactic Council, you came to our home and threatened our existence. You demanded our submission without offering membership or respect. You have fired the first shots in what you assumed would be an easy conquest. You were wrong. Humanity now issues its own ultimatum. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences of your aggression. We did not want this conflict, but we have prepared for it. The choice is yours. On the main Council world of Arcturus Prime, the High Chancellor watched the transmission with growing horror as reports flooded in of human forces appearing throughout Council space, forces that had somehow been positioned years before without detection. Back in Earth orbit, Council ships attempted to regroup, but found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Their superior technology meant little against an enemy who had studied their every weakness and prepared specifically to exploit them. "Our flanks are collapsing," Vila reported. How could they have hidden such military capacity? Thantor had no answer as he watched the carefully constructed galactic hierarchy crumbling before his eyes. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. Throughout the solar system, Council ships found themselves caught in an intricate trap years in the making. Earth's quantum shield network, fully activated at last, created an impenetrable defense around key installations. Council weapons, designed to overpower conventional shields, proved ineffective against the entirely different technology humanity had developed. Admiral Collins stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Freedom as it approached the crippled Council command vessel. Around them, the remains of the once mighty Council fleet drifted in silence, most disabled rather than destroyed, a deliberate choice that hadn't gone unnoticed. "They're requesting communication," Lieutenant Wilson reported. "Visual channel." Collins straightened his uniform. "Put them through." Tantor appeared on screen, his silver-blue skin now ashen with defeat. Behind him, Vila stood rigid, her pride intact despite the circumstances. "You deceived us," Tantor stated flatly. "Your compliance was a lie." "As was your diplomatic mission," Collins replied evenly. "We detected your scanning attempts from the moment your ships entered our system. You were assessing our weaknesses, not seeking peaceful resolution." The Council representative's 4 arms moved in a grudging gesture of acknowledgement. "How long have you been preparing for this confrontation?" "Since we first detected your observation probes in our system 20 years ago. Did you really think we wouldn't notice?" On screens throughout human space, citizens watched as humanity's forces secured strategic points throughout the solar system. Project Frost had exceeded even its designers' expectations, allowing Earth to neutralize a technologically superior force through careful planning and strategic innovation. Back on Earth, President Russell addressed the emergency session of the United Nations. "Today marks a new chapter in human history, not just because we have defended ourselves successfully, but because we now take our place among the galactic community, not as subordinates, but as equals." The chamber erupted in applause, relief mixing with pride as the magnitude of their achievement became clear. In deep space, beyond Neptune's orbit, Dr. Ryan Foster supervised the activation of humanity's final surprise. Massive jump gates, hidden in the outer solar system, powered up and established stable wormholes to key locations throughout Council space. Through these gates came the rest of Earth's fleet, ships that had been secretly positioned years earlier, with the help of Council member species who had grown tired of the old hierarchy. "All gates operational," Foster reported. Friendly forces confirm control of 17 strategic Council installations. The Council High Chancellor, communicating from Arcturus Prime, could barely contain his shock as reports flooded in of human forces appearing simultaneously at multiple Council strongholds. "How could you have achieved this level of coordination? It should be impossible." Collins allowed himself a small smile. "We had help. Not everyone in your Council believed in the policy of suppressing developing species." 3 days later, aboard the neutral space station Harmony, the new Galactic Accord was signed. Humanity would gain immediate representation on a reformed Council. The policy of categorizing species and restricting their development would end. A new era of cooperation would begin, with safeguards to protect the rights of all civilizations, regardless of their technological development. As the Council representatives reluctantly added their signatures to the document, Admiral Collins stood with Vice Admiral Chen and Captain Miller, watching history unfold. "They still don't fully understand what happened, do they?" Chen observed quietly. Collins shook his head. "They underestimated us from the beginning. They saw our technology and measured us by their standards. They never considered that our greatest strength isn't our weapons or shields. It's our ability to adapt," Miller finished, "to unite against a common threat." As the ceremony concluded and the various species began to mingle cautiously, The former council enforcer Vila Mira approached Collins. "Your species was classified as Category 3, she said, studying him with new respect. "That evaluation has been revised." Collins nodded politely. "I appreciate that. But perhaps the most important lesson here is that no species should be defined by others' expectations." As Vila Mira walked away, Collins turned to look out at the stars visible through the station's viewport. Humanity's path forward would not be easy, but for the first time, they would chart that course themselves. "We warned you," he whispered to himself, the words meant for no one but carrying the weight of humanity's response to those who had sought to contain them. "We warned you not to underestimate us." 6 months after the signing of the new Galactic Accord, Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. Ships from a dozen alien civilizations now docked regularly at the orbital platforms surrounding the planet. Technology exchange programs flourished, carefully monitored to prevent disruption of Earth's cultural development, but allowing for remarkable advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel. Admiral Collins walked through the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Geneva, nodding to representatives of species that until recently had been completely unknown to humanity. His new role as Earth's security representative to the Reformed Council kept him busier than ever. "The Proxima delegation has arrived," reported Commander Jason Hill, Collins' aide. "They're particularly interested in our adaptive agricultural methods." Collins nodded. "Make sure Dr. Ben Wilson is available to meet with them. His work in that field is exactly what they need." The Proxima species, insect-like beings from a resource-poor system, had been among the first to establish formal relations with Earth after the Council restructuring. Like many of the lesser species, they found humanity's innovative approaches to limited resources refreshing after centuries of Council restrictions. In orbit above Mars, Captain Laura Miller supervised the installation of the first long-range jump gate built with combined human and alien technology. The massive structure would reduce travel time to the Centauri systems from years to minutes. "Power synchronization complete," reported her engineering chief. "The Arcturus engineers say they've never seen an installation proceed this efficiently." Miller smiled. "Tell them we appreciate the compliment. Begin final testing sequence." Elsewhere in the solar system, human colonies that had hidden underground now expanded openly on the surfaces of Europa, Ganymede, and Titan. With access to new technologies and freed from the fear of Council reprisal, these settlements grew rapidly, establishing trade routes with alien worlds that eagerly sought partnership with the species that had challenged the old order. On Earth, President Russell met with the former Council elder Zolak, now serving as ambassador from the Arcturus Collective. Their weekly discussions had become an important bridge between old and new galactic politics. "Your people continue to surprise us," Zolak admitted, his translucent skin shimmering in the sunlight streaming through the Oval Office windows. "We expected resentment, perhaps even retaliation against former Council worlds." Russell shook his head. "That was never our goal. Humanity didn't fight for vengeance or dominance. We fought for the right to determine our own future. A distinction many species fail to make," Zolak observed. "It explains much about your success." In the Deep Space Monitoring Station near Pluto, Dr. Olivia Grant studied data from the newly accessible Council archives. The information revealed civilizations that had been suppressed or even eliminated when they challenged Council authority in past millennia. "We were fortunate," she told Vice Admiral Chen during her inspection visit. "The Council was already weakening from internal divisions when they confronted us. A century earlier, they might have simply sterilized Earth, rather than risk our expansion." Chen nodded grimly. "Which is why Project Frost remains active, despite our new alliances. Some lessons shouldn't be forgotten." Grant agreed. Hidden throughout human space, the defensive network maintained constant vigilance. Peace was welcome, but humanity would never again be caught unprepared. In the Arcturus system, Admiral Collins represented Earth at the first meeting of the Reformed Council. The massive chamber, once designed to elevate the original Council members above lesser species, had been rebuilt with a circular design where all representatives sat as equals. As Collins took his seat, Vila Mira approached him. Her role had changed from enforcer to liaison, helping former council worlds adapt to the new reality. Your world has changed the galaxy more in 6 months than the council did in a century, she said, her tone mixing respect with lingering caution. Collins considered this. Change was inevitable. We simply accelerated the timeline. As the session began, Collins watched representatives from 50 worlds, many attending for the first time, discuss cooperative ventures in science, exploration, and defense. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not just through military preparation, but through the same adaptability and innovation that had first alarmed the Council. The galaxy is entering a new age, announced the Council moderator, one where advancement is not restricted but shared, where diversity of approach is valued rather than suppressed.